Hello and welcome to video number 3. In video number 2, you became acquainted with 7 or 8 worksheets that you'd be using on a regular basis. What I've done is I've exposed another 3 or 4 worksheets here to expand out a little bit and show you what else is in this file. So we started with the chart of accounts last time. To the left of the chart of accounts is something I'll call Nav1, short for Navigation 1. What this does is it actually indexes every worksheet in the workbook. And it has an automated function written in Google Script, which is JavaScript, which you have to refresh manually, so it won't refresh when you automatically change the name of a worksheet. But if you click refresh, it will actually update this list to show you the list of worksheets in the workbook and the new names and whether they're hidden or showing. So in addition to acting as an index, which allows me to quickly bounce from one page to the other instead of using the hamburger menu here, it also serves a function in that this is how the automatic links work. You'll see in some of the reporting later that you can look at a report and drill down and get back to the underlying transaction. And it requires this functionality here, which means that it requires the JavaScript module or the Google Script module that's an add-on that you would not necessarily be able to use if you switch this out to Microsoft Excel or some other spreadsheet platform. You could duplicate the functionality there possibly, but it wouldn't work out of the gate. So this is called Navigation 1. It's somewhat useful. We don't use it a whole lot during use of the file, and that we use the hamburger menu a lot more. But it actually serves a functional purpose in addition to being a nice index that helps me figure out where things are if they get lost. So that's Navigation 1. We already went through all of these worksheets. There's another journal in here. So we have a checking journal, we have a credit card journal, we have something called an expenses paid via journal. This is going to make sense to small business people who generally buy things with their checking or credit card account, but occasionally they get caught without it. Maybe you're in a taxi cab and you pay cash, or you get caught without your credit card at a convenience store or grocery store, and you use your personal credit card. In order to get credit for that in a standard process, you technically should submit an expense report to your company and get reimbursed for it. So an informal way to do that is actually just to set up what we call an expenses paid via account, which in fact is we've dummied it as if you're a credit card issuer. So it looks just like the credit card account. What it allows you to do is enter those expenses that you pay outside of your corporate accounts, and it'll include those in your income statements and balance sheets. You can pay this off monthly to yourself, or you can never pay it off. It doesn't matter. The balance will carry over in the balance sheet. So this basically eliminates the need to have to use expense reports to your own company for small and incidental transactions that you incur outside of your checking and credit card accounts used for making payments for your business. The general journal is a 2-line journal. So in fact, all of these are what we call a 1-line journal. The general journal is a full 2 or multi-line journal, and it allows you to make adjusting entries. This is going to make sense to folks who have bookkeeping and accounting background. For those of you that don't, just hang tight until we get you the education on the general journal. But there is a general journal in here that works perfectly fine. It does use signed amounts because we don't have debits and credits. And it's not set up to throw up errors if you actually enter an incorrect signed amount, but certainly it could. And in fact, that incorrect amount should show up as an error on the balance sheet. So even without a flag here, the balance sheet itself will show up out of balance. And you'll be able to track it back to the exact date, and most likely back to this transaction. If we scroll further to the right, we have the income statement and the balance sheet, which we showed you already. And here's the underlying technology that most in the technology world and the accounting world should be most interested in seeing. All of this runs off of a fully functional, GAAP-aligned general ledger. All of the journals feed into what we call a transaction aggregator. Some modifications are done in there. We actually set debits and credits in there, and then we funnel all of those into the general journal into the general ledger along with the general journal. So there's a diagram on this, but the underlying technology here is fully rooted in proper GAAP accounting, and there's a general journal here which makes it exceptional for both education, troubleshooting, and credibility. So this wraps up video number 3.